Are we doing it?
Yeah, we're doing it.
Okay.
Okay. Hi, and welcome to the Holy Misfits podcast. I'm here with Amanda Pence, and I'm just going to let you introduce yourself because I don't want to butcher it. So,
sure. My name is Amanda Pence, and I am an LGBTQ advocate, and I am in the Portland area for the QCF conference. And so Jess invited me to come be on the podcast.
Yeah. It's super cool. First person in person. That came out so weird.
I'm honored to be your first in-person guest.
So what got you into the work that you do? And maybe explain some of the work that you do, just in case people don't know.
Sure. So I come from a conservative evangelical background, and I have a degree in Bible exposition from Talbot School of Theology. And I realized as I was going through my program that if we actually followed our own methodology, that we shouldn't be excluding anyone from the family of God. And that includes people in the queer community. And so I provide resources that are within that sort of conservative evangelical framework to show that all siblings of faith should be included in the family of God. And that includes anyone in the LGBTQIA plus community.
Yeah, and that's super important because, so all I was ever taught was nothing positive about queer anything. It was just if this is you have a struggle, you need to pray or something or fast or whatever it is,
or marry a man and then you'll be straight. That's what they told me.
Yeah,
it didn't work.
Yeah, it's there's some kind of Band-Aid you had to do, and then you just be healed or something. Yeah. So it's really important to have resources that are different out there that are just hey, this is something that you probably haven't heard that is not so weird.
Yeah. And it's because evangelicals have made it such an identity issue.
Yeah.
Of just identifying as queer is enough to get you completely kicked out of the community. And it's absurd because even someone will come out as ace or something and people are like, get out of here. And it's dude, they don't.
Well, it could be fruitful and multiply.
Yeah, exactly. Being if you don't know, being ace is, or asexual is not experiencing sexual attraction.
Yeah.
And it's the purity culture gold medalists, get thrown out too. It's ridiculous that they want everyone to fit into their perfect little mold of the good Christian wife who's having babies and submitting to her husband. And
yeah, I never conformed. I think it's a problem of mine. It might be fine, but I just don't conform to things. And even when I was conservative, I didn't really do that. And me and Alex have been at a bunch of different church denominations. And I told you earlier when we were eating, it was a huddle of ladies. And it was so intimidating, a group of them, all older than me. And they were and they were being very not direct at all. They were just being beating around the bush and stuff. And they were so in public, when your husband says something, you just have to nod and agree. And I was why would I do that? And the looks on their faces, they were you could just hear the gasp. And I was why would I do that?
I was definitely the nodding and agreeing wife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I would be shouldn't we just have our own minds and have our own thoughts because they married us for a reason? So don't they like our mind? And then they'd be and it just was so weird.
Well, in our instance, we married each other because we were both I need to find a good Christian man to marry. I need to find a good Christian woman to marry. So we already knew that going into it that we're we're going to follow these roles.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm glad you got to actually be yourself with your spouse both before and after.
I have had a history of making waves and making a lot of people uncomfortable.
I do not have that history, but more recently I have been making people more uncomfortable, which is uncomfortable for me because I do not like being a troublemaker.
Yeah, it's okay though. A little bit of that is fine.
Yeah,
as long as you're not doing anything sketchy. But
yeah, I mean, yeah.
How are you liking? Have you been to Oregon before?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And the drive between Portland to here was gorgeous.
We live in like this beautiful little nothing town. It's a mega town, so that's the catch. It kind of sucks with that, but it like the scenery is gorgeous. Like there's a beautiful lake, and I don't understand it, but this is technically a rainforest.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, but it's not like a exotic rainforest. It's like mountains and stuff, but
yeah,
it's technically, I guess, a rainforest.
Where I live is technically a desert.
Yeah, it's like I don't know how that works, but that's what they say at least. But there's like this mist in the air.
Yeah,
whatever.
It's kind of eerie.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool. I was like, I want to just sit here and write.
There's a beautiful hike, not even that far from this place, my house, and it's like maybe 2 minutes from here. And there's like this trail that goes up, and there's a bunch of waterfalls. I think there's 3 different waterfalls, and they each get bigger up the trail.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And then the top one, there's like this weird little shelf of like, nobody knows it's really there. I think some people do, but it's like all hidden and tucked away, where you're just secluded and you're on top of a waterfall.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah. And we went there when we were super stressed. One day we were like, we need to go somewhere with the nature.
Relaxing.
And like we went there as a family, me and Alex and Atlas was like, he tried to dive off the waterfall.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
And I grabbed him super fast, but then we were like, okay,
oh, no.
I think we should go down the trail and go home.
When I was a kid, we would go to a camp in the mountains in Southern California near where I live. And when I was a kid, we went on this amazing hike to this hidden waterfall, and it was so cool. And I always wanted to go back, and I was always like, why don't we ever go back here? So when we were young adults, my best friend and I, who I'd done the initial hike with, she was like working at that camp, and we were on her day off. We're like, we're going to finally go back and do this hike. And so we go and we hike up, and we're like, we're going to find this hidden waterfall. And we discovered why people don't hike up there anymore, because we had so many years of drought. It wasn't like a waterfall anymore. It was just a little bit of damp, and it was literally just like a whole nesting ground of mosquitoes.
Ew.
So like we came over we hiked this hard hike. We get to the top, we're all sweaty, and we get like swarmed by mosquitoes. We're like, ah! And ran back down.
Sounds terrible.
So that sucked. So I need to come visit your waterfall. It sounds better.
Yeah, it's nice. And to my knowledge, I don't think there's a mosquito problem. Maybe like
if the water's moving, it's fine.
There's so much water. I was like panting though. There was a lady with a little walker thing, a little walking stick, who was doing better than me.
Oh yes.
And she was like, "Oh, you gotta get your stamina up," and I was like, "Really?"
The number of times I've gone for walks or hikes or things with old ladies who I've had trouble keeping up with is embarrassing.
And they're like ladies who like they've worked out their entire lives and they've never sat down.
Yeah.
They don't know what sitting is.
Yeah.
They're like, "Oh, why would you sit down? My knees don't even bend." And like, I don't even know what that is.
What are you saying? They have to bend their knees to be able to hike.
These ones
make any sense.
These ones don't.
What are you saying? It's so weird.
Alex always gets annoyed with my stories. He's always like, "What is this side?
This is
quest you just took us on."
This is what people listen to podcasts for. You can't focus on. You can't focus on the topic the whole time. People get bored. You got to talk about interesting side quests.
Yeah, that's all I talk about is side quests, and they're very exaggerated. But it's like not a lie, but it's not true. But it's not like an intentional lie, but it's very not real.
Like the old ladies who can't bend their legs.
Bend their legs, like she said, like they have to. But it's not logical, but it's entertaining, and that's why people keep me around.
You are adorable and entertaining.
See?
Yes. This is the face of the holiness.
I was like, oh gosh.
Oh, that's too much pressure. This is not the face. This is not the face. Look at her beautiful logo. Your logo is the face of the Holy Misfits. How's that?
Yeah, don't look at me.
Yes. Jess is a really great graphic designer. She's been doing my social media graphic design and stuff. Yeah,
this would have been a perfect time to bring your mug and be like...
Yes, we have stuff with my logo. We have a bunch of cool... You know what? I've heard you can edit videos and add things in later.
Yeah, I did that.
You could
episode. I'll do it. You could I'll find a picture.
You could showcase some of your graphic design work.
Like, I don't want to make it about me because I want it to be about the people. So that's hard.
Yeah.
But
it's okay.
It's what I do for work.
Yeah. Well, I gave you a shout out. You didn't.
Okay. Yeah.
Shout out yourself, so it's okay.
So, are you wanting to make a book in the future?
Yes. So I would like to write the book that I needed, like, before I went to seminary and did all this work, because like there were so many contradictions and things. And I was like, I'm just going to sit down and I'm going to follow all the steps on all of the different passages and like piece everything together, because all the cognitive dissonance and all of the contradictions were driving me crazy. And so for those who don't have the time or energy or whatever to go to seminary and do all that work themselves, I would like to write it out and put it in a book. And of course, that'll be about how I came to be affirming of the queer community. But it'll have parts of my own story woven into it. And it'll cover like some of those passages that you like never talk about, or like, I want it to be primarily for people who have been in the church a long time and who read their Bible and who are like, how can we never talk about these obscure passages, you know? So we'll
Habakkuk or something.
Yeah. Or like
what even is?
I don't know. Like one of my things is, I'm a Bathsheba scholar. Like I've written an academic article about Bathsheba. And like I was doing like a little study of it with some ladies from the church, and like I taught on Bathsheba, but then I did like a Q&A thing afterward, and we got to talking about like Abishag, who was like David's final concubine, and they were like so excited to be like, we're finally talking about this Bible character we never talk about. And so like that's where like I'm like, you know, I want to write it for people like me who are like, there's all these Bible stories I've read, or like Judges 19, like with the woman who like there's a huge trigger warning on that chapter. I'm not even going to describe it because it's so horrific, but like, you know, you're just doing your little read through the Bible in a year and you're like, oh, I just read this horrific thing and now I have to drink my coffee and go drop off my kids at school. We're never going to talk about it. Like,
yeah. And the people don't want to talk about it in Bible studies. They're like, oh no, you brought that story up and let's just gloss over it. Like, that's
like you gotta wrestle with the hard texts. And so, and like, I'm not afraid of the hard texts. So, I mean, there are times where like, I think people need to pay closer attention to where their mental health is at sometimes in the study of the Bible. Like I want to for sure be like trauma informed and like making sure people are like, you know, in an okay place to study different, you know, whatever it is. But, so hopefully I can get my work out there in a book. I have an acquisitions editor with a big publisher that I've been in touch with who has told me I need to grow my platform and stuff. So
so many people have told me I need to write a book, but I am too ADHD to sit down and do.
I love it.
But I have so many good ideas, but I'm like, I need to like focus. So that I'm like, oh wait, there's something over there. Wait, there's something over there. There's a squirrel over there. And
Squirrels
I'm like, wait,
are
I was writing a book for a year and then I forgot about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Squirrels are interesting.
I know. I was thinking about the old ladies that don't have bendable knees earlier, and I was trying not to laugh because you were talking about your book thing that you want to write, and I was like, this is interesting, and I don't want her to think I'm not listening, but I am listening, but I'm also like have an internal monologue going on.
I don't mind the ADHD. It's okay.
I was like, the knees don't bend, and Anyways.
So I'm gonna have to come back and visit you sometime for like a writing retreat or something, because this is such an inspiring location.
Like, when did you realize things about yourself, like your sexuality and stuff?
Yeah. So when I was in junior high, I started having dreams that I was kissing girls. And I was like, oh no, this is bad.
Yeah, don't tell anyone in the church.
Yeah.
I'd be like, oh my gosh.
Yes. Well, and a boy in the youth group in junior high was caught looking at porn, and it was looking at male porn. And they did not like that. And there was a whole thing. And so I learned, and of course they didn't care that he was looking at porn. They cared that he was looking at men, which that felt like a double standard. Yeah. But I learned early on that you cannot tell anyone about this. And so I just kept telling myself, this is a phase of being attracted to women, until I was an undergrad at Biola University, which is a conservative evangelical school. And one day I said to myself, like, I don't think this is a phase. I think I'm a lesbian. And
why? That's funny to me.
Well, it is. It's ridiculous and really terrifying.
It's terrifying.
Yeah, and like you can't tell anyone.
No.
And
you can't like process it, especially if you're like a verbal processor.
Yeah.
Like who are you gonna talk to?
Yeah.
Like you can't talk to anyone.
Yeah.
So that sucks.
Yeah. And people always like assume that I did like a pray the gay away, but like I feel like that was always like a problem that I had to fix before I could come to God. You know, like
it was something like in the way of you and God.
Yeah, it was like I got to deal with this over here because you know God doesn't like that, so I got to just clean that up and fix it. And like I obviously wasn't doing anything gay or looking at gay porn or anything or looking at beautiful women. Like I would have panic attacks going into like women's like underwear departments because like. You know, it's in junior high, you know, they taught us like, oh, if you know, people who experience same-sex attraction, you know, fire and brimstone is going to rain down like Sodom and Gomorrah if you feel same-sex attraction. And so I would like have these total full-on panic attacks. It was so bad that like my mom had to order my bras online because I could not go into like a bra section of a store.
That sounds terrible.
Yeah. It was horrible. I mean, I liked that I could just get them ordered online and I didn't have to like go into the store because I was so freaked out. But also my parents couldn't figure out why I was so freaked out because I couldn't tell them like I'm attracted to the underwear model.
So weird. In general, it's weird. Like even the straight kind, like it doesn't make any sense why they're so obsessed about sex or something. Like it's like I was taught that sex was like this vile thing that my mom made me read this book that I'm stressed about. And I don't know if I remember the title, but it was like different people had submitted their stories into the book and each chapter was a different person's story. And it was like all these horror stories of people who had sex before marriage and then died. And yes. I didn't read that one in particular, but there were so many things they would tell you, like, if you don't do this, you're going to die. Yeah, or it was like she had sex and then lightning came down and she died. And I'm like, then who wrote this? Who wrote it? Not the lady.
Well, when I was little, they would say like, you know, oh, the kid didn't obey their parent. And so then they ran in the street, got hit by a car and died. Yeah, so if you don't obey your parent, then, you know, you're going to, then something bad's going to happen to you. Yeah.
Yeah, so I read those. My mom would make me read them like just about every night with her. With her. So that's another layer of punishment because they're like all about sex and some of them are pretty awkward. And so I'm like a young person. Honey. Yeah, I'm reading it with my mother and it's like all these scary stories, like horror stories. And then you go from that to then you're getting married years later and they're like, okay, be a good wife and do the deed. And you're like, I was confused because I was like, I thought this was evil.
Yeah.
Like, which is it? Is it evil? But then if someone has sex outside of marriage, they have a baby and they keep the baby and all that, then it's not evil because the baby is a blessing.
There are so many contradictions.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, so at Biola, they brought in someone from Exodus International, which was the largest like ex-gay organization.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, and he told a story about how he had been gay and then he married a woman, so then he was straight. And so I was like, okay, I'll just marry a man and that'll make me straight. And
how did that work?
Did not work.
Oh, dang.
But fun surprise, my
Darn.
spouse turned out to be non-binary. So
see?
Didn't marry a man.
God knows.
Sorry.
God was like, I'll fix this.
Right.
Bam. Non-binary. Glory.
It's wild. But we're doing much better now that we've come out. My first memory of my spouse, because we were children, we grew up together.
Yeah.
And we're family friends. And my first memory of them was thinking he's not like other boys. Which I feel like was some kind of weird foreshadowing. I don't know.
Yeah.
Also, why did I remember that from elementary school? I don't know. But
yeah. That's kind of funny.
It's fine. It's fine. But yeah, we did the whole biblical manhood and biblical womanhood thing where the wife is supposed to just always be agreeable and just sort of go along with whatever her husband wants. And, you're supposed to be a stay-at-home wife and mom and do the housework and whatever. And the husband's supposed to go to work and be the financial provider. And we were playing at these roles we were told we were supposed to do. But we were kind of miserable. And now that we can just be ourselves, we're just way more comfortable, in ourselves, in our own bodies, and more comfortable with each other. And we can actually say what we actually want. My spouse actually loves cooking and stuff. And
that's
I
cool.
have anxiety, and cooking.
Yeah, I can tell.
Gives me anxiety. And
I cooked some pasta for us. And I was like, hey, do you want to do these noodles? And she was like, do you want me to do the noodles? And I was just like, oh,
I was so stressed out about it. I'm like, I don't know how to use your stove.
And I was like, do you want to just rinse these noodles? And what's the steps with rinsing the noodles? And I was like, oh gosh, she doesn't cook at all. But
no, I cook, but also cooking in a new place is stressful for me. When I was 12, I had to babysit somewhere, and the lady was just like, oh, make mac and cheese for everyone for dinner. And I was like, no, I need you to show me how to use the stove. And she would not show me.
Jeez.
And I only had an electric stove at home.
What the hell, lady?
And so I just turned it on and waited for it to boil and waited for it to boil and waited for it to boil. It was a gas stove.
Oh.
So it didn't light. It was just putting gas into the house.
Oh, no.
And
you're like, what's that smell? And everybody's fainting.
Yeah, I was finally well, I guess it's not going to boil, and just turned it off. And so luckily I didn't figure out how to light it. Otherwise we could have exploded the house. But I think that's why I have so much anxiety about cooking with appliances that I'm not used to.
My mom would always be like, can you stir this? And I'd be like, sure. And I'd be all excited. And then all I would do was stir. I wouldn't do anything. Uh-huh. Then she would come by and in a huff and be like, you're ruining Thanksgiving. And I'm like,
oh no.
What do you mean? And she was like, look at it. You've just ruined Thanksgiving. And I'm like, I just stirred it. She was like, you were supposed to stir it and then stop stirring it. I'm like, oh my God.
How is a child supposed to know how to stir it?
I know. So that's a running joke now. I'll be like, you're ruining Thanksgiving.
Oh no. Oh no.
Just yell it at people now. Yep.
I love that. I love that for you.
Yep.
Well, I'm going to be teaching on the Book of Romans at QCF in a couple days.
QCF.
Yes, that's the Q Christian Fellowship Conference. And it's a conference for queer Christians to get together, and they have a bunch of breakout sessions of people who teach different Bible lessons, or they have a lot of spiritual formation things. You can meet other queer Christians, which is nice. The worship is always amazing because how many queer worship leaders there are.
I used to be a worship leader.
You did?
Yeah, I used to do that for my job.
I love that. You would fit right in at QCF.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, so I really enjoyed it last year when I went. I taught a breakout session last year called Adam and Adam, God's Design for Humanity.
Oh, that title is such a clickbait. What? Adam and who?
When I was applying, it was like, look, I just graduated from Talbot, and I was like, I had to prove myself.
Look, it's edgy.
For real. Yeah, it's edgy. I promise I'm affirming. For real, for real. And this year at QCF, I am doing a breakout called reclaiming Romans by reading it backwards. And so that's going to be talking about the importance of reading the book of Romans in context and paying attention to the end where Paul has all of his greetings and he talks about the situation of the church and like what he's actually addressing, and the purpose of the letter is all at the end in the last few chapters. And so I feel like the way we often study Romans is like we open it up and we read the first few verses, and then we get to the end of chapter 1 and we're like, I guess God hates queer people. And then we're like, I'm tired of this. And we close it and then like go on to something else. And like, we never even read like chapter 2, verse 1, which is like the whole point of like, don't be judgmental, because literally the whole chapter 1 is just puffing them up to feel like, oh yes, I'm so much better than those people over there. I thank God that I am not like those other people. The Pharisee praying on the corner. I'm so much better than all y'all. And I never used to say that. Oh my gosh.
Did it just
all
happen
y'all?
just now?
That just happened naturally.
That's weird.
I never say all
we're
y'all.
We're not even in this.
I am very from Southern California. I use dude and guys like all the time as non-gendered whatever. And as I'm being in more queer spaces.
I say man to everybody.
Exactly. Yes, I say man. And I'm like, yeah. And so I've been adopting more Southern terms as I've been trying to be more affirming and not just calling everyone dude.
So weird that it's turning you Southern.
It's weird. It's weird. It's weird. Anyway, I do not remember what I was saying.
I don't know.
What was I even saying?
I don't know, man.
Oh, yeah. The Pharisee standing in the corner in the parable, in Jesus' parable, being like, I'm so much better than everyone else. Yeah. And then in Romans 2, he turns it on them and is like, ha, you're being judgmental. That's actually the problem, is being judgmental. And he comes back in chapter 14 and is like, don't be judgmental. And in chapter 13, he talks about that you're supposed to love your neighbor, and all the commands are summed up as love your neighbor. And then love your neighbor is measured by doing no harm. And so the things in the vice list in chapter 1, a lot of them you probably shouldn't do because they cause harm. But the context has to be, is it causing harm? And if someone's consenting, committed adult relationship isn't causing harm, then it's not causing harm. It's not a problem. And like
there's straight relationships where they're messed up and toxic and terrible. And that gets so overlooked in the church, unfortunately, where there's abuse happening or some kind of crazy thing. And that is just glossed over. But then if someone isn't straight, they're like, oh my gosh, you're going to hell. And that's so weird. It doesn't make any sense.
Well, and I feel like it's almost like they have to have something to be a distraction. Otherwise, we'll realize that the way that they have marriage set up of like women aren't allowed to say no to their husbands and they have to always put out and whatever. Their marriages are not based on consent.
Yeah, I didn't learn about consent until I was like after my 20s.
I learned about it recently.
In my 30s, I learned about it.
Yeah.
And that's wrong. Like, you should be learning about that early on. Like, it doesn't have to even be in a sexual context, like for kids. Like, if a kid doesn't want to hug an adult, just teach them, hey, no, thank you, or like something like that. That's not disrespectful.
Hey, let's do a fist bump instead. Or like
some kind of thing that teaches them that they have bodily autonomy, but they don't have to just like force affection. It's so backwards that both of us didn't learn about it until recently.
Well, and I think it's really interesting that marital rape wasn't illegal until the 90s. And that's when all the purity culture stuff started coming out.
That's crazy. I didn't even know that.
Yeah. When I found out the date that federally marital rape became illegal, and like when, you know, because they talk about it a long time, like coming up to it, that like this is the run up of all of these materials saying, oh, you can't say no to your husband or whatever, was all like right around that same time. And I'm like, I feel like that's not a coincidence.
Yeah. And my husband wasn't even taught that kind of stuff. Like as a man or a teenage boy growing up in the youth groups and stuff, like they didn't tell the boys like that kind of stuff at all. They didn't teach them anything about saying no or whatever.
Yeah. And it's interesting that they taught the girls that, but not the boys, because they turned a bunch of like really great guys into creeps.
Yeah.
Because like usually like there are so many guys who like once they find out like, oh, you don't want to have sex? I don't want to have sex with someone who doesn't want to have sex. Yeah. Like then but like they weren't told that oh, we're telling your wives that they're not allowed to say no and they have to be enthusiastically available all the time.
Yeah, that's not fair to either gender.
Yeah, that's not fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're not hearing, because my husband didn't even know that me or any other woman was told that.
Yeah.
Like, that was news to him.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, what? And I was like, yeah. And I don't even know if he believed me at first. I was like, yeah, we were told that you had to just be like, okay, like all the time.
Yeah. Well, and like, I didn't really, like, is the woman supposed to enjoy this? Like, the way they talk about it made it sound like, of course, no woman would want to.
Yeah, if you enjoy it, it's like evil or something. Like, that's how they kind of portrayed it.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of these materials were written by lesbians.
Closeted lesbians. And they were just like mad. They had to get their frustration out. And like,
well, they're just like, of course, well, because everyone thinks that their experience of the world is the default one. And so, if you're like, okay, this is miserable and I hate it, but I got to do it. And you get together with all your friends and you all think that, and you get together and write a book about this is miserable. And then, the young marrieds group reads it at church, and then the gals who actually enjoy it are like ashamed because they're like, oh, I'm not supposed to like this. And the gals who don't like it are like,
I wonder if they were overcorrecting too, if they like made it sound too appealing, then people were going to want to go have sex before marriage or something. Yeah. And so they were trying to overcorrect, but that backfired because it was like, now you've made it sound like you're going to go to hell.
Yeah.
For liking it.
Yeah.
And then I had a weird relationship with that because I went from being like, oh dang, like I have to read this book and people are getting struck by lightning for having sex.
That's
like being told like it's evil. And then I got a little older and people were like, oh, do you want to have kids someday? And I was like, no, because they happen from sex and isn't that bad? And then adults were like, wait, what? And they didn't understand why I was having that logic. And then I got a little older and then it was like, oh, like this, now it's magically okay. And like women's sex drives can be high and that's okay.
Yeah.
It's not like it shouldn't be demonized or like you're not like a harlot or a Jezebel or something.
Yeah.
For being like that. And like normalizing that people have attractions and that's okay. Like it's not the end of the world that people have attractions. They have like likes and dislikes.
Yeah.
Like it's important to know what you like and what you don't like. And that's okay.
Yeah.
It's very important, especially if you're like partnered with somebody.
Yeah.
Just craziness.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I don't know if the generation now is growing up better than, I don't even know if we're the same age, but I'm assuming that we are.
I'm 37. How old are you?
35. Yeah.
We're close in age.
I don't know if the generation now is better off than we are. I don't know if they're being taught about things in a better way, but with MAGA culture, I'm worried that they're not.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that we can do right by this generation and the generations to come from that somehow.
Yeah, I don't know.
But yeah, I don't even know. Because like I'm not involved with teenage groups. Like I'm not like doing a youth group or anything like that. So I'm not seeing like how they're being taught these topics. But I would hope that it would be more helpful than what we grew up with. Because the 90s really just wrecked people.
Yeah.
As far as that topic goes.
Yeah. I know that in seminary, when we would talk about like youth ministry and stuff, they would talk about like, they definitely were talking about doing youth ministry in a healthier way than what purity culture was. And like talking about like people experience attraction to other people. And like, that's a normal part of existence. And even people experience attraction to people of the same sex. But of course, in the context of the conservative evangelical seminary, they're saying, obviously don't act on that, but they were saying like just having attraction isn't a sin, which I felt like was a huge improvement over what I was taught.
Yeah. But what denomination were you in? Like, did you grow up in?
I grew up in the Evangelical Free Church of America.
Free Church of America. I don't even know what that is.
So it's a fairly small denomination, but then it has some churches that are like really big. So like I grew up in like kind of a megachurch.
Huh.
But it's more like kind of regional. Like it's not a huge denomination, even though it has some huge churches. But the free stands for governance. So like the churches within the denomination have like a say in deciding like if they have elders, if they have deacons, how many pastors they have or whatever. So it's the governance, like whether the congregation votes on things. It's the governance part that the denomination doesn't like mandate. So that's what the free is.
Okay.
So it's evangelical.
Yeah. I was like Assemblies of God all growing up.
Remind me.
It's like you're not allowed to dance. Dancing was the devil.
Mm-hmm.
If you went to a school dance, they would be like, "Oh, so you've lost your salvation now?"
Oh man.
Yeah. I remember I wanted to go to a school dance, and that was a really big deal. And everybody was like, "What? You want to do something so evil?" Yeah. Like, there's different branches of Assemblies of God. So, like the one I went to, you could dress casual, but there are some where like you have to dress up. Yeah, which is annoying. But the one I went to, they didn't care. They were like, whatever. I remember I wore some jeans with holes in them.
Ooh, and they didn't like that.
Well,
they didn't even like that at my church.
It was just kind of funny because these old people, they were really sweet, but they like handed me some money and I was like, what's this? And they were like, it's so you can afford some pants.
They didn't even understand that it was a style.
Yeah, and I was like, no, I don't need your money. That. And I was trying to be like giving it back, and I was like, I bought them this way, and they were like, "Why? Why would they break them on purpose?" And I'm like, "No, it's a style." And I'm like trying to explain.
To be fair, that was my first reaction to the ripped jeans style.
That's funny.
It's like, why would you do this? I don't understand.
Yeah, I've always been for the most part, I've been Gothic or like some type of variation of that for most of my life.
Okay, yeah. See, okay, this is as wild as my appearance has ever gotten, which is short hair, and I recently got a septum piercing.
Yeah.
And so this is as wild as I have gone.
Yeah, so I had like these ripped jeans, and it was so sweet. I wasn't even offended. I was just like, oh, so
honey.
Sweet. But I was like, it's okay. I don't need your money. I have pants. Yeah. And she was like, oh, no, please.
It's just a cultural divide thing.
Yeah. So, and then they showed us a film. It was a cartoon, and it was this like heavy metal guy with spikes, like so many spikes. And it was like, he was headbanging, and it was like, do you like metal? It was like, if you like metal, you're going to hell. And then the guy's like headbanging, and it's like, yeah. And they're like, this is the devil stuff. And then the guy's head pops off and then just starts like rolling, and there's blood, and it's wild.
That's traumatizing.
Yeah, and they just showed that.
That's
and
not
they were
good.
Like, this is what will happen to you if you listen to metal. And I was like, what?
Oh man.
But I did it anyway.
It was interesting because growing up in a megachurch and then going to Biola, it was, when you have a lot of people, you have a wide variety of theological ideas.
Yeah.
And so there were also a lot of contradictions, because, you'd get this Bible teacher who would teach one thing, and then you'd get a different Bible teacher who'd teach the opposite thing. Oh. And so maybe I got more contradictions than some other people in some other denominations. But also, I've always had a big focus on trying to be as ecumenical as possible, like trying to have unity in the body of Christ, even among people like across denominations, and like trying to have humility of like, we might be wrong,
Yeah.
Although like the denomination had even had like, individual churches could decide if women could, serve on staff and which positions and whatever. But the denomination in more recent years has become less friendly to egalitarians, which is really a big disappointment. But because it was one of the few like real big tent denominations where it was like different people with these different beliefs can exist in the same space.
Yeah.
And it's, everything's just becoming more polarized these days, but
I grew up very much in an echo chamber. So now I enjoy difference of opinion. Even like living in a MAGA city kind of sucks, but I don't really like the parts I don't like, obviously, but I enjoy the discourse to a degree. Not really afraid of it because I was so like sheltered growing up and wasn't allowed to hear any kind of difference opinion. I also stick out like a sore thumb here, so I get into lots of conversations all the time, probably like at least once a week. Like if they're like, you're misinformed,
that you have like
Daddy Trump isn't gonna do anything bad to us, and I'm like, well, Donnie Diddlefingers actually is, because I have these articles here.
Oh yes,
here's some direct quotes from Daddy Trump, and they're like, oh so gosh, bad. What? Why do you have that on hand? I'm like, it's because of you guys.
You all approach me.
I know. They're like, look at her. She's one of those liberals. Yes, I'm armed.
I kept having the problem of people thinking that I was more conservative than I am. And so that's why I went for the septum piercing, because I was like, I need to look more queer. People don't believe me when I say I'm affirming. I need to, I gotta prove it.
Didn't you say, like, because we've talked in the past, didn't you say you were like more theologically conservative? Which is, that's fascinating to me.
Yeah.
So how does that work? Like, how does that happen?
Like, well, being theologically conservative, but then also affirming?
Yeah. So I feel like some people might hear that and be like, how is that possible or something?
Yeah. And I mean, since I come from this, like, trying to be ecumenical kind of background, I wouldn't say, like, for sure these are the beliefs that are, you know, 100% this is how it's supposed to be. But, like, I was being a good girl and staying within my tradition and within, which is a pretty broad tradition within evangelicalism, and it includes egalitarians and who at various people in my life were very upset when I became egalitarian. But they shall remain nameless. But like, I realized, like, no, if we're actually being consistent in how we read the Bible, we would be egalitarian. We would let women be pastors. And I was like, I kept making my professors uncomfortable because I kept being like, if I can be a pastor, then I'm pretty sure a trans person can be a pastor. Yeah. Like, if we're not supposed to discriminate based on gender in the body of Christ, and the Holy Spirit is supposed to be the one who gifts and fills and calls people to serve in the church wherever the Holy Spirit has decided, then why would we exclude a trans person or an agender person or a non-binary person?
Yeah, I seriously doubt that God would be like, oh, this person has this call to be a pastor, and then be like, oh, but it's a woman, can't do it.
Yeah,
like we're just gonna skip you. Like, that's not gonna happen.
Yeah, well, and like, I was called to ministry from a young age, and so like, I thought I was gonna be a missionary, right? Yeah. And so like,
or like married to a pastor.
Yes.
That's what they tell you.
Oh my gosh. I tried so hard to marry.
Or like go to Bible college and marry a pastor.
I tried so hard to get one of the Bible majors to want to date me, but I always had to ask questions they didn't have answers to. And that's not a good look for a pastor's wife. Yeah. So they were never interested in dating me, but I had some good Bible conversations.
That's cool.
But which is what I was more interested in. I think they could tell that I was more interested in the Bible than in them. Which I was more interested in their education than in them, because they were dudes. So, but what were we talking about?
I was like, how can you be more theologically conservative?
Oh yeah. So I was like staying within my same sort of broader tradition, and realized, that we can't discriminate based on gender. And then, so there was a time where I was affirming of gender minorities, but not of same-sex marriage. Mm-hmm. But then I realized that, like, if you have a couple who's a heteronormative couple and one of them comes out as trans, and then, oh, now this is a lesbian couple, oh, now this is a gay couple, like, you can't be like, whoa, they don't have a call anymore. Like, then you're discriminating based on gender again. Gender manifests itself so differently in every culture.
Yeah.
And, like,
there's different cultural norms that we don't even have that, like, if we went to another country, we'd be like, oh my gosh, it's not biblical or something weird. Not we, but some people.
Yeah, well, and like when I was a missionary in Kazakhstan, there was so much drama about head coverings.
Yeah.
And it was always like if someone was wearing a head covering who wasn't supposed to be wearing one. And like, whereas in our American culture, we'd be like, don't make me wear a head covering. Whereas like over there, like a pregnant woman wore a head covering. And they're like, you're not allowed to wear that because you're not married. You're trying to, hide your shame, whatever. She's like, I just thought that if you were married or had a baby, you were supposed to wear a head covering. I'm sorry, I won't wear it again. It's just so different, like within the church or within the wider culture. And so like to say like, this person who transitions in the gendered way they experience the world is, disqualifies them from ministry is just absurd. And then I realized like, well, then you're trying to say, okay, well, I affirm gay marriage as long as one of them is cis and one of them is trans, or as long as both of them are trans. And it just is, then you're just policing people's genitals and gender expression again.
That's weird.
And I was like, actually, no, this doesn't make sense. And then I was reading more and like reading the whole book of Romans, like actually sitting down and reading the whole thing like in one kind of go is what really like changed my mind. Because I realized like, oh, the whole point of this whole letter is that you're not supposed to make up a whole bunch of other strict rules and identity markers to say, here's who's in and here's who's out. Like, you're not supposed to judge people based on their outer appearances. You're supposed to judge based on what they do and if they're causing harm. And like, if people are causing harm, then they need to be held accountable. And if people aren't causing harm, then we don't have to be so uptight about it. So I became affirming within that conservative framework. And I was like, oh, hey, people need to know you can be affirming within this, grammatical, historical, exegetical method that we use in conservative evangelicalism of like trying to figure out the original meaning of the text.
What is it? Oh my gosh, I'm butchering everything. I should have looked stuff up because she knows the Bible. But there's like so many things that have been mistranslated, like from phrases that were supposed to be about like non-consensual things or things
homosexuality
like
in the ancient world, especially, so all of the places in the Bible that talk about homosexuality, always, except for, with the exception of Romans 1:27, possibly people argue about that too. But in all the other instances, it's male homosexuality, which in the ancient world and in the New Testament times, in the first century, it was pedophiles. It was people, older men with younger boys. It was people taking advantage of their slaves or like asserting their power over their slaves.
So like non-consensual, harmful.
It was exploitation.
Yeah.
With the Pax Romana, like Rome had taken over like all these other cities and countries and cultures and like taken all these prisoners of war and like sent them back. And so there's like all these prostitutes that are like, they've been human trafficked.
Yeah.
And like, of course, don't go visit a brothel where someone's been human trafficked. Like, clearly this person is experiencing harm. Maybe there are things we can do to lift people out of poverty. Maybe we should stop human trafficking, right? Like,
maybe.
What? Well, that's other, like, also such a huge lie that, like, people think that LGBTQ means that you're a pedophile or that you're a human trafficker.
We don't accept them.
Those are actually excluded. Like, pedophiles are not included.
Go back to your island.
In the letters. Yeah. Yeah. The big, like, moral sort of center of the LGBTQ community is consent. And you can't consent if you're a child, and you can't consent if there's a huge power imbalance.
You're like on drugs or something. Like, you're just not mentally with it. Like,
the vast majority, it's, I feel like, one, it's stereotypical for me to say the Bible is clear, but I'm going to say the Bible is clear. Don't exploit people. Don't abuse power.
Yeah.
Like,
people aren't property, even though like our country would like to tell you that.
Yeah. And it's a problem when people who want to have power manipulate the text and manipulate people to, make it say things that serve them. But like, also, I know a lot of times when people become affirming and they, you know, give up high view of scripture, or they give up their theology of hell or whatever. And it's like, you don't have to give up those other theological beliefs to be affirming.
Yeah, you almost feel like you have to because of like the way you're taught or something. Like I personally don't view hell like the same. I view it more as like annihilation theory. Like that to me makes the most sense. But I also don't feel like it's like something that you need to have figured out. Because it's like we really don't know until you get there.
And my thing on hell is just that like I can't know. We can't know.
There's really no way of knowing until you're in the afterlife.
Yeah. And so I haven't spent a ton of time studying a theology of hell because I just can't know for sure.
I think that was one of the first things I deconstructed, just because hell was used as a weapon for me for so long. And so I was like, I can't live like this. I'm filled with so much anxiety. I need to figure this out right now. But now I'm just kind of at the place where like I'm fine not having the answer for it. Like it's okay. It's not the end of the world.
And I feel like it's important to get rid of the fear of hell because like people have very much used it to manipulate people. That is spiritual abuse. That is bad. That is, don't do that. And that's not, you know, if you're worried, like, am I going to go to hell? I don't know. I took the bigger brownie and I gave the smaller one to the other person. Like, am I a bad person? Like, no, you're not. It's fine.
Yeah, you don't need to live your life in fear like that.
Yeah. Like, have you actually been like, I am going to be an evil villain? Blah, ha, ha, ha.
I feel like I just wake up and I make decisions like that. Not evil ones. I just wake up and I'm like, this is what I'm doing for 10 months. And then like Alex is like, whoa, okay.
Well, but is that like picking up a new hobby or something?
No.
Or like...
No, I just woke up one day and was like, holy misfits, Alex. And he was like, I don't know what that is. And I was like, we're doing it. And he was like, okay. Well.
See, but that's loving your neighbor and not doing harm. So
yeah, see, it's not harmful.
It's fine.
Not evil. I just do that.
No. Yes. It's totally fine. Yeah, but like don't be evil.
Yeah, don't be evil.
It isn't actually that hard.
It's not hard.
In Romans 1, where they're talking about like since the creation of the world, it's been kind of actually super obvious what you're supposed to do and not do. They're not saying like, let's project our modern, Western, white, evangelical culture onto that and say, yes, everyone has to be like this. Like, no, the point is like, yes, Sodom and Gomorrah, from ancient times, people have been able to say, and can say now, that an entire town deciding to mistreat some travelers going through their town in that way is not the way you're supposed to treat people.
Yeah.
Like, yes, that's kind of obvious, you know, like they're not talking about like if you whined when your parents told you to go empty the dishwasher. Like,
yeah. They didn't even have dishwashers.
No, they didn't. Oh, man. But some of the parenting books, they're like, child, you must not let your child ever whine. I'm like...
Yeah, they're like, your child is manipulating you and they're like, evil. And
they're doing the thing I asked them to do. It's okay that they're whining. They're allowed to be their own person.
I think also, like, I don't know if this applies to you, but deconstructing the idea that you are inherently evil was very helpful for me. Like, obviously, there's accountability. Like, that's important. And it's obvious, like, don't be a jerk. Don't be the worst person. Like, do your best to not cause harm. But you're not inherently just evil by default. Like,
yeah. And babies certainly aren't
this
evil.
Cloud hanging above your head that's like, oh my gosh. Like that to me contributed so much to my depression that I had. I had like ongoing depression that I couldn't figure out because I was living in that environment of like, you're the worst all the time. So like, yeah, that was super helpful for me when I just cut that out. And I was like, no, actually, like, how can you be the worst and fearfully and wonderfully made at the same time? Like, they have to cancel each other out.
And God created the creation. It starts with creation being good. Like God creates people good. I've been thinking for a while as like original sin or whatever as being more like everyone is affected by sin.
Yeah.
And like generational traumas get passed on and stuff. And like a baby isn't sinning, but a baby suffers from the effects of sin.
Yeah, like you're born into an environment.
Like a baby isn't crying because they're trying to manipulate you. They're crying because they need something.
Yeah, they're hungry and they don't know how to say I'm hungry.
So, but
yeah, we probably should wrap this up at some point.
Probably.
But it has been nice talking, and I will put links to your things everywhere.
Thank you.
And where can people find you on the internet?
If you want to read some of my writing, you can subscribe to my Substack, which is amandapence.substack.com. And it'll ask you to put in your email address and just choose the free option. You know, Substack is like, subscribe, pay money. Like, don't pay money. It's free. Just keep clicking free until you get in.
Just keep clicking free.
Yeah. I want the free option. I'm on Instagram and Threads as A Pence. I have a Facebook group for people who are maybe still in a more conservative framework, and they're considering maybe being affirming, but they're like not quite sure they're all there yet. You're welcome to look that up on Facebook, and I'm on Blue Sky as well. It's A Pence or Amanda Pence, Amanda.Pence. I don't remember.
You can like email me the links.
I'll send all the links.
I will just copy and paste.
The other big news. I'm about to launch a new website.
Oh yeah, that's important.
I should have led with that. My website is amandapence.com, AMANDA. All the links are on my website. And I've been doing a whole, since I got a graphic designer and I got a web designer and so it's going to be
so fancy. She has designers.
Yes. So I know where I need assistance. So
make sure knees bend. That's all I have to say.
So I amandapence.com. It's going to be up in the next few days. Come on our crazy journey with us.
Yeah. Get yourself a designer. Bye.
Bye.